The Louis Vuitton tote cuts into Hollis Vale's shoulder like a blade made of leather and consequences. Rain hammers Lexington Avenue, turning the street into a black mirror where neon bleeds pink and blue, taxi lights smearing across puddles like open wounds. Hollis's breath comes in short, painful bursts. 33 weeks pregnant, twins. Every step feels like his body is tearing itself apart from the inside out. His phone vibrates once. Then again. He doesn't look, he already knows. A small hand grips his coat. Nico, 5 years old, dark eyes too wide for a child who should still believe in bedtime stories. The boy doesn't speak anymore, hasn't in weeks. Fear taught him that silence keeps you alive. Hollis checks his reflection in a storefront window, pretending to admire Brooks' brother's suits he'll never afford again. What he's really doing is scanning the crowd behind him, looking for the shape that doesn't belong, the man who always finds him. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. A woman with a Chanel umbrella rushes past, her Louboutin heels clicking against wet concrete. Hollis used to own nice things too, back when luxury meant safety, back when he thought a Rolex on a man's wrist meant stability instead of ownership. His ribs ache, the twins are kicking again, restless and angry, like they can feel his heartbeat racing. Hollis's ankles throb inside shoes that stopped fitting 2 weeks ago, but he can't stop moving. Stopping means being found means going back. And going back means Nico learns that love looks like bruises. The phone vibrates a third time. This time, Hollis looks. No caller ID, just 3 words in all caps. I see you. His stomach drops, the tote slips down his arm and he catches it with trembling fingers. Inside, prenatal paperwork, an Apple charger, one faded ultrasound photo, and a child's hoodie Nico outgrew months ago. That's all that's left of the life Hollis thought he was building. That and the flash drive hidden beneath the folder, the one Gage doesn't know is missing yet. Nico's hand tightens around Hollis's coat. The boy's lips move, but no sound comes out. He's learned that speaking draws attention. Attention draws anger. Hollis crouches down, ignoring the sharp pull in his lower back, the way his knees scream in protest. He cups Nico's face with both hands. We're okay, he whispers. I promise. It's a lie, they both know it. Hollis straightens, scanning the street again. A black sedan idles at the corner. Same one he saw 3 blocks ago. Same one that was parked outside the Greyhound station in Newark yesterday. He's not being followed. He's being herded. The crowd thickens near the subway entrance. Commuters with Ralph Lauren briefcases and Prada coats. Everyone moving with the kind of confidence that comes from never having to run. Hollis weaves between them, pulling Nico close, trying to blend in, trying to disappear. Then he sees him. Across the street, standing beneath a glowing sign and a rain-slick awning, hands buried in the pockets of a black Tom Ford coat, Gage Rourke. Not searching, not chasing. Waiting. Like he knew exactly where Hollis would end up. Like this was all part of a game Hollis didn't know he was playing. Gage's mouth curves into a smile, small, private, certain. A passing headlight catches the Rolex on his wrist, and Hollis's throat closes. Gage doesn't move, doesn't need to. The message is clear, you can't outrun what owns you. Hollis's knees buckle, his vision tunnels. The Barbies shift violently inside him, and for one terrible second, he thinks his body is going to give up right here on the sidewalk. Nico's voice, small, broken, the first words he's spoken in days, cuts through the rain. He's gonna take me. That sentence ignites something inside Hollis, something bigger than fear, bigger than exhaustion. Not my child, never my child. A Tesla pulls up to the curb 10 feet away. The door opens. A man steps out, tall, broad-shouldered dark coat tailored so perfectly it looks like it was sewn onto him in silence. His tie is immaculate, Brooks' brother's crisp, hair swept back from a face that belongs on a billboard or in a courtroom. He's holding a black Marc Jacobs umbrella, and when his eyes lift, they're sharp, assessing, the kind of gaze that measures a room and finds every exit before anyone else notices. Hollis doesn't know him. But Hollis recognizes power when he sees it. And for the first time in 2 years, Hollis makes a choice that isn't about appeasing someone else. He grips Nico's hand, steps forward, closes the distance. And before courage can abandon him, before fear can drag him back into the cage he's been living in, Hollis rises on trembling feet and kisses the stranger. Not polite, not cautious. Full, desperate, the kind of kiss that makes strangers stop and stare. The kind that makes predators hesitate. For half a second, Hollis thinks he made a fatal mistake. Then the stranger's hand lifts, steady, impossibly gentle, cradling Hollis's jaw like it's something worth protecting. His other arm shifts outward, not touching Nico, but blocking the world from reaching him. The stranger doesn't shove Hollis away. He anchors him. When the kiss breaks, Hollis whispers against the man's mouth, rain dripping between them. Please, he's here, he won't stop. The stranger's eyes flick past Hollis's shoulder to Gage, and something in the air changes. Not rage, not reckless violence. Something colder. A decision. Stay behind me, the stranger murmurs, voice low and controlled, like New York steel wrapped in velvet, and keep your boy close. He smells like expensive restraint and storm clouds. Gage crosses the street, rain rolling off his shoulders, confidence unshaken. His gaze locks on Hollis first, then the stranger. His mouth twists into something ugly. You always find drama, Hollis, even pregnant. The words land like a slap. Hollis's stomach clenches. Nico presses tighter against his legs, trembling. The stranger steps forward, subtly shifting so Hollis and Nico are fully behind him now. Walk away, the stranger says. Gage laughs, soft, poisonous, or what? Then Gage makes the mistake that changes everything. He reaches for Hollis. Not gently, not like a man asking permission. Like a man reclaiming property. The stranger catches Gage's wrist midair, fast, surgical, no wasted movement. Gage freezes, startled that someone dared. What the hell are you? Rafe Calder, the name drops like a locked door slamming shut, and you're touching what isn't yours. Gage's face flickers, recognition, fear buried under arrogance. Because in certain circles, the ones that operate behind closed doors and whispered transactions, Calder isn't just a name. It's a warning. Hollis's breath catches in his throat. He didn't kiss a random man. He kissed an alpha with a reputation, the kind people cross the street to avoid, the kind whose enemies don't just disappear, they're erased. And yet, Rafe's grip on Gage isn't cruel, it's controlled, like a good man holding back something dangerous inside himself. And when Rafe glances at Nico, soft, careful, it doesn't look like the gaze of a monster. It looks like someone who understands what fear does to children. Gage tries to jerk free, I'm his partner. Hollis's voice cracks, but he forces the words out anyway. You're my abuser. The words hang in the rain, simple, devastating, and finally true. Gage's eyes flash with fury. You don't get to rewrite. I'm not rewriting, Hollis says, tears mixing with rain on his face. I'm surviving. Rafe's jaw tightens. He doesn't look away from Gage. You chose the wrong Omega to haunt. Gage spits back, voice rising. You think you can play hero, you don't know him, he ruins everything, he's... Rafe cuts him off, voice colder than the rain. I know enough. Then Rafe does something Hollis doesn't expect. He doesn't swing, doesn't turn the street into a battlefield. He pulls out his phone, sleek, Apple logo glowing, and makes one call. Bring the car closer, he says, calm as if ordering coffee, and call it in. Gage's expression sharpens, call what in? Rafe's stare is merciless, the evidence. Hollis freezes, his heart hammers so hard he can feel it in his throat. Rafe turns his head slightly, speaking to Hollis without exposing his back to Gage. The tote, you have your prenatal folder, and the documents you kept, because part of you knew you'd need them. Hollis's throat closes. Because inside that Louis Vuitton tote, hidden beneath ultrasound papers and Nico's hoodie, is a flash drive Hollis stole 3 months ago, proof that Gage isn't just abusive. He's involved in something bigger, something that would destroy Hollis if Gage ever realized what he took. Hollis thought maybe, someday, he'd be brave enough to use it. He never thought that day would be tonight. Gage goes pale, you didn't. Hollis's hand tightens on the tote strap until his knuckles ache and burn. I did. Hollis used to believe that expensive things meant safety. He learned that lesson in a New Jersey apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows, and a view of the Hudson River that real estate agents called aspirational. Gage bought the place 6 months after they met, back when Hollis was still stupid enough to think a man who spent money on you was a man who loved you. The apartment had marble countertops, a Sub-Zero refrigerator, shelves lined with Gucci boxes and Tom Ford cologne bottles arranged like trophies. Gage wore his wealth like armor, Rolex on his left wrist, Hermes belt, shoes polished until they gleamed. He smelled like money and control, and for a while Hollis thought that meant security. He was wrong. The first time Gage hit him, it was over a dinner reservation. Hollis had called the wrong restaurant, an honest mistake. Gage's hand came fast, open palm across Hollis's cheek, sharp enough to make his ears ring. Then Gage bought him a Chanel bag the next day. "I'm sorry," Gage said, kissing Hollis's forehead like the bruise wasn't still blooming purple under his eye. "You know I love you, you have to be more careful." Hollis believed him, because believing him was easier than admitting the truth. That love wasn't supposed to leave marks. Nico came into their lives 2 years later, not Hollis's biological child, but a kid Gage's sister abandoned at their doorstep with a note and a diaper bag. Gage didn't want him, called him a burden, but Hollis couldn't let a 5-year-old go into the system. So Nico stayed. And Gage's anger found a new target. Nico learned fast, learned to be quiet, learned to make himself small, learned that asking for water at the wrong time could mean Gage's voice rising, a door slamming, Hollis stepping in to take the hit instead. Hollis got pregnant 4 months ago, unplanned, unprotected, the result of a night when Gage decided no wasn't an answer he wanted to hear. When Hollis told him, Gage smiled, not the kind of smile that reaches your eyes, the kind that makes your skin crawl. "Good," Gage said, hands sliding possessively over Hollis's still flat stomach. "Now you can't leave." That was the night Hollis started planning. He didn't call it escape yet, he called it preparing. He started keeping copies of things, bank statements, text messages, photos of bruises he used to hide. He opened a separate email account Gage didn't know about. He researched shelters, hotlines, restraining orders. And then 3 months ago, Hollis found the flash drive. It was in Gage's office, tucked inside a Ralph Lauren box that was supposed to hold cufflinks. Hollis wasn't snooping. He was looking for his own prenatal vitamins, which Gage had moved because he liked controlling where things were. The drive was small, black, unmarked. Hollis should have left it alone. But something in his gut, some deep animal instinct, told him to look. He plugged it into an old laptop while Gage was at work. What he found made his hands shake so hard he almost dropped the computer. Bank transfers, offshore accounts, shipping manifests for routes between New Jersey and Connecticut, names Hollis didn't recognize, amounts that didn't make sense unless you understood what they really were. Gage wasn't just abusive. He was laundering money, moving it through shipments, through shell companies, through transactions that looked legal on paper but bled corruption underneath. And if anyone ever found out Hollis had this information, he wouldn't just be in danger. He'd be dead. Hollis copied the files, hid the drive in the bottom of his Louis Vuitton tote, wrapped in a Ziploc bag and buried under prenatal paperwork. He told himself he'd use it if things got bad enough. Things got bad enough 2 weeks ago. Gage came home late, drunk, smelling like someone else's perfume. Hollis didn't ask questions. Asking questions was dangerous. But Nico, sweet, too smart Nico, looked up from his coloring book and said, "You smell funny." Gage's expression went cold. He grabbed Nico by the arm, yanked him up so hard the boy's feet left the floor. Nico didn't cry, didn't scream, just went limp like he'd learned that fighting back only made it worse. Hollis moved without thinking, shoved himself between them, took the hit meant for Nico, Gage's fist catching his ribs, knocking the air out of his lungs. The Barbies kicked, sharp and frantic, like they could feel his terror. That night after Gage passed out on the couch, Hollis packed 2 bags, one for Nico, one for himself. He took the flash drive, the prenatal folder, and a single photo of the ultrasound where you could see both Barbie's tiny hands pressed together. He left the Chanel bag behind. They took a Greyhound to New York. Hollis paid cash, didn't use his phone, didn't tell anyone where they were going. But somehow Gage still found him. Hollis sees the same black sedan twice on their second day in the city, then a third time, each sighting closer than the last. He tries a clinic for help. The receptionist takes his information, says someone will call. no one does. He tries a restraining order. The clerk says he needs proof of immediate danger. Hollis shows her the bruises. She says bruises fade. He needs documentation, police reports, witnesses. He tries a shelter hotline. They say they're full. Try back next week. Next week might as well be never. Gage doesn't chase, he circles, like a predator who knows the prey is already cornered. Hollis buys a prepaid phone with the last of his cash, uses it to search for resources, legal aid, anything. Every search result feels like a dead end wrapped in bureaucracy. And then the messages start. First, a text from an unknown number, you can't hide. Then a voicemail, Gage's voice smooth and calm like they're discussing dinner plans. Hollis, I know you're scared, but you're carrying what belongs to me. Come home, we'll talk. Hollis deletes it, blocks the number. Another one appears an hour later. By the third day, Hollis is jumping at shadows. Nico hasn't spoken since they left New Jersey. The boy just watches everything with those two wide eyes, like he's waiting for the next disaster. Hollis's body is breaking down. Stress contractions hit at random, sharp, breathless pain that makes him double over on street corners. His ankles are swollen. His back screams. The Barbies are running out of room, and every movement feels like they're trying to claw their way out. He needs rest, needs safety, needs help. But every door he knocks on stays closed. On the fourth day, Hollis stops in front of a storefront window, Michael Kors display, mannequins in tailored coats, and catches his own reflection. He looks like a ghost, dark circles under his eyes, hair unwashed, coat wrinkled, belly straining against a shirt that doesn't fit anymore. And behind him, in the reflection, a black sedan idles at the curb. Same one. Again. Hollis's heart stops. He turns, scanning the street. The sedan pulls away, slow and deliberate, like it wants him to see it leave. Like it's proving a point. I can find you whenever I want. Hollis's phone buzzes, another voicemail. He doesn't listen, doesn't need to. But his hands shake as he deletes it. Nico tugs on his sleeve, doesn't speak, just points. Across the street, leaning against a brick wall beneath a faded awning, Gage stands watching. Not hiding, not pretending. Just watching. Their eyes meet. Gage doesn't smile, doesn't need to. The message is in his posture, his stillness, the way he stands there like he has all the time in the world. You were never going to get away. Hollis's lungs forget how to work, his vision tunnels, the Barbies kick, frantic and angry. Nico's hand tightens in his. The boy's lips move, but Hollis can't hear over the roar of blood in his ears. Then Gage lifts his phone, types something, sends it. Hollis's prepaid phone vibrates. He looks down. One sentence, no punctuation, all caps. You're carrying what belongs to me. Hollis's knees buckle. And that's when he realizes the worst truth of all. Gage didn't lose him. Gage let him run. To prove Hollis would always come back. To prove escape was a fantasy. Hollis tries the emergency clinic on West 34th because the internet said they take walk-ins. The waiting room smells like antiseptic and desperation. Fluorescent lights hum overhead, buzzing like angry insects. Hollis fills out the intake form with trembling hands, checking boxes that feel like admissions of failure. Yes, I'm pregnant. Yes, I'm experiencing stress. No, I don't have insurance. No, I don't have a permanent address. Nico sits beside him, swinging his legs, staring at a poster about hand-washing like it holds the secrets of the universe. The receptionist, a tired woman with a Coach lanyard and chipped nail polish, takes Hollis's paperwork and frowns. This'll be a 2-hour wait, minimum. Hollis nods. He's got nowhere else to be. Except 2 hours turns into 4, then 5. Nico falls asleep against Hollis's shoulder, drooling on his coat. Hollis's back screams. The Barbies are restless, kicking his ribs like they're angry at the world before they've even entered it. When a nurse finally calls his name, Hollis stands too fast. Pain rips through his lower abdomen, sharp, breathless, the kind that makes you see stars. A contraction. Not labor, just stress, his body warning him it's reaching its limit. The nurse, a man with kind eyes and a Fitbit on his wrist, takes his vitals. Blood pressure elevated, heart rate too fast. You're at 33 weeks, the nurse asks, frowning at the chart. Yes. You need to be resting, not. He gestures vaguely at Hollis's rumpled clothes, Nico asleep in the plastic chair. Whatever this is. I'm trying, Hollis whispers. The nurse's expression softens. There are shelters, resources, have you tried? I've tried, Hollis's voice cracks. They're full, or they need documentation I don't have. Or he stops, swallowing hard. Or they ask questions I can't answer without making things worse. The nurse hesitates, then he scribbles something on a post-it note, hands it to Hollis. A phone number. Legal aid, they help with restraining orders, custody stuff, call them. Hollis takes the note, folds it carefully, tucks it in his pocket. He doesn't tell the nurse he already tried, that the lawyer said he needed proof of immediate danger, and bruises that are 2 weeks old don't count, that he found me in New York isn't enough, that the system only moves when someone's already dead. Hollis leaves with a prescription for prenatal vitamins. He can't afford an advice to reduce stress. As if stress is a choice. As if fear is something you can just decide to stop feeling. Outside, the rain has stopped, but the streets are still slick. Puddles reflect the city lights, pink, blue, gold, like broken glass scattered across concrete. Hollis pulls Nico close, scanning the sidewalk. No black sedan. Not yet. But it's only a matter of time. The courthouse is next. Hollis takes the subway, clutching Nico's hand, trying to ignore the way people stare at his belly, at Nico's too quiet face, at the tote bag that's seen better days. The clerk at the restraining order office is a woman with acrylic nails and a Starbucks cup that says Jennifer in Sharpie. She listens to Hollis's story with the kind of detachment that comes from hearing too many just like it. Do you have police reports? No. Photographs of injuries. Some, but they're old. He hasn't hit me since we left. Jennifer taps her nails against the desk. Then we need documented evidence of recent contact, threatening messages, proof he's actively pursuing you. Hollis's hands shake. He's following me. I see his car everywhere. Did you get a license plate? Photos? I know, I didn't think. Jennifer's expression doesn't change. She's not cruel, just tired. Without documentation, we can't issue an emergency order. You can file for a standard restraining order, but that takes 2 weeks minimum, and if he contests it, you'll need to appear in court. Hollis feels his chest tighten. 2 weeks. Sometimes longer. I might not have 2 weeks. Jennifer's gaze softens just a fraction. I'm sorry, that's the process. Hollis walks out of the courthouse with Nico's hand in his, and a stack of forms he doesn't have the energy to fill out. The system isn't broken. It's just not built for people like him. That night they sleep in a 24-hour diner on 8th Avenue. Hollis orders coffee and fries, stretches them out over 3 hours while Nico dozes in the booth. The waitress, a woman with a gap-toothed smile and a name tag that says Keisha, doesn't say anything, just refills Hollis's coffee without asking. At 2 a.m., Hollis's phone vibrates. Another voicemail. He doesn't listen, just deletes it. Then another one comes, and another. By 3 a.m. there are 6. Hollis's hands shake so hard he drops the phone. It clatters to the floor, screen cracking in the corner. Nico wakes up, startled. Is he coming? Hollis pulls him close. No, baby, not yet. But it's another lie. Because Gage is always coming. On the 5th day, Hollis's body starts to give out. He's walking down Lexington Avenue, Nico trailing beside him, when another contraction hits. This one is worse, longer, sharper, the kind that makes him stop in the middle of the sidewalk and brace against a lamppost. His vision swims, his breath comes in gasps. Nico's voice is small. Are the Barbies coming? Not yet, Hollis forces the words out between clenched teeth. Not yet. But his body doesn't care what he wants. His body is breaking down, piece by piece, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. When the contraction finally passes, Hollis straightens, wiping sweat from his forehead. And that's when he sees it. His reflection in a storefront window, Burberry display, mannequins in trench coats, and behind him the black sedan. Parked at the corner, engine idling. Watching. Hollis's heart stops. He turns, slowly, like moving too fast will trigger something. The sedan's windows are tinted. He can't see who's inside, doesn't need to. He already knows. Nico grips his hand tighter. I see it too. Hollis pulls him close, trying to think, trying to plan, but his mind is a mess of fear and exhaustion and pain. Then the sedan pulls away. Slow, deliberate. Like it's proving a point. I don't need to chase you, you're already trapped. Hollis's phone buzzes. He doesn't want to look, doesn't want to know. But his hands move on their own. One message, audio file attached. He presses play before he can stop himself. Gage's voice fills the air, calm, smooth, like they're old friends catching up. Hollis, I'm disappointed. I thought we were past this. You know I love you. You know I love those Barbies. But you're making this harder than it needs to be. Just come home. We'll figure it out, I promise. Then softer, almost tender, you can't run forever, and when you stop, I'll be there. The message ends. Hollis stands frozen, phone trembling in his hand. Nico tugs his sleeve. What did he say? Hollis doesn't answer, can't answer, because the truth is too heavy to speak out loud. Gage isn't just following him. Gage is letting him exhaust himself. Letting him run until there's nowhere left to go. And when Hollis finally collapses, when his body gives out, when his options run dry, Gage will be there. Not as a villain. As a savior. See, you needed me all along. Hollis's knees buckle. He catches himself against a wall, breathing hard, fighting the tears burning behind his eyes. Nico presses close, small and solid and terrified. What do we do? Hollis doesn't have an answer. Because every door he's tried has stayed locked. Every system designed to protect him has asked for proof he doesn't have, time he can't afford, resources that don't exist. And now his body is failing him too. He looks up, scanning the street through blurred vision. And that's when he sees him. Across the street, standing beneath a faded awning, hands in his pockets. Gage. Not hiding, not pretending, just standing there, calm as a man checking the weather. Their eyes meet. Gage doesn't move, doesn't smile, just watches. And Hollis realizes, with ice settling in his veins, that this was always how it would end. Not with escape. With surrender. Hollis hates himself for what he's about to do. But desperation rewrites morality faster than logic can keep up. The stranger steps out of the Tesla like he's walking off a magazine cover, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a coat so perfectly tailored it looks like it was made in a room where people speak in whispers. His tie is Brooks Brothers crisp. His shoes gleam under the streetlights. He moves with the kind of calm that comes from knowing rooms rearrange themselves when he enters. He's holding a black umbrella with Marc Jacobs lettering stitched along the edge, even though the rain stopped an hour ago. Hollis doesn't know him, but power doesn't need an introduction. It announces itself. The man's gaze lifts, sweeping the street with the precision of someone trained to catalogue threats. His eyes are dark, sharp, the kind that miss nothing. And right now, they land on Hollis. Hollis's pulse hammers. The Barbies kick, restless and uncomfortable, like they can feel his heartbeat spiraling. Nico's hand is a small anchor in his, keeping him tethered to reality. Across the street, Gage watches, waiting, patient as a predator who knows the prey has nowhere left to run. Hollis makes a decision. It's not a good one, it's not a safe one. It's the only one he has left. He tightens his grip on Nico's hand, takes a shaky breath, and steps forward. The stranger glances his way, neutral, assessing, and for half a second Hollis almost stops, almost turns around, almost chooses the devil he knows over the gamble he doesn't. But then Gage shifts across the street, and Hollis sees the Rolex catch the light, sees the smile that used to make him feel special and now makes his skin crawl. You're carrying what belongs to me. No, it's not anymore. Hollis closes the distance between himself and the stranger in 4 unsteady steps. The man's expression doesn't change, doesn't soften, doesn't harden, just watches Hollis approach like he's waiting to see what happens next. Hollis doesn't give him time to ask questions. He rises on trembling legs, leans in and kisses him. Not polite, not tentative. Full, desperate, breath-stealing, the kind of kiss that makes strangers turn and stare, the kind that stops traffic in the middle of a conversation. The kind that makes predators hesitate. For half a heartbeat, Hollis thinks he made the worst mistake of his life. The stranger goes still, rigid, shocked, and Hollis braces for the shove, the anger, the disgust. But it doesn't come. Instead, the stranger's hand lifts, slow, careful, and cradles Hollis's jaw with a gentleness that doesn't match his tailored armor. His other arm shifts outward, not touching Nico, but creating a barrier between the boy and the rest of the world. The stranger doesn't kiss him back, not exactly. But he doesn't push him away either. He anchors him. When Hollis finally pulls back, gasping, the stranger's dark eyes search his face. No judgment, no confusion, just sharp, immediate understanding. Like he's seen this before, like he knows exactly what desperation looks like. Hollis whispers, voice cracking, "Please, he's here, he won't stop." The stranger's gaze flicks past Hollis's shoulder to Gage, and something in the air shifts. Not rage, not violence. Something colder, more controlled. A decision. "Stay behind me," the stranger murmurs, voice low and steady, steel wrapped in velvet, "and keep your boy close." He smells like expensive cologne and restrained power, like someone who's learned to keep dangerous things leashed. Hollis steps back, pulling Nico with him. The boy presses into his side, trembling but silent. Gage crosses the street, rain still dripping from his coat, confidence unshaken. His mouth curves into something ugly when he sees Hollis standing behind the stranger. "You always find drama, Hollis," Gage says, voice smooth as poison, "even pregnant." Hollis's stomach twists. The words are designed to humiliate, to make him small, to remind him that everything about his existence is inconvenient. Nico curls tighter against Hollis's legs. The stranger steps forward, subtle, deliberate, so that Hollis and Nico are fully shielded now. He doesn't raise his voice, doesn't need to. "Walk away." Gage laughs, soft, contemptuous, or what? The stranger doesn't answer, just stands there, still as stone, radiating a kind of quiet menace that makes people cross the street without knowing why. Gage's smile falters, just for a second, then he recovers, chin lifting. "Who the hell do you think you are? Someone you don't want to test." Gage's eyes narrow. He's used to intimidation, used to being the biggest threat in the room. This stranger in his tailored coat and perfect tie shouldn't rattle him. But it does. Still, Gage doesn't back down. He's too arrogant, too used to winning. He reaches for Hollis. Not gently, not like a man asking for something. Like a man reclaiming property. The stranger moves faster than Hollis can track. His hand snaps out, catching Gage's wrist midair with surgical precision. Not rough, not violent. Just controlled. Gage freezes, shock rippling across his face. No one touches him, no one stops him. "What the?" Rafe Calder, the name drops like a judge's gavel, "and you're touching what isn't yours." Gage's face goes pale. Hollis watches the shift happen in real time, arrogance cracking into fear, fear buried under fury, because Gage knows that name, maybe not personally, but enough. In certain circles, Calder is more than a name, it's a territory marker, a warning label. The kind of name that ends conversations before they start. Hollis's breath catches, his pulse roars in his ears. He didn't kiss a random stranger. He kissed an alpha who operates in shadows, the kind people whisper about in back rooms, the kind whose enemies don't just lose, they vanish. And yet, Rafe's grip on Gage isn't cruel, it's measured, like a good man holding back something violent that lives under his skin. And when Rafe glances at Nico, just a flicker, soft and careful, it's not the look of someone who hurts children. It's the look of someone who understands what fear does to them. Gage jerks his wrist, trying to break free. "I'm his partner." Hollis's voice comes out broken, but he forces it anyway. "You're my abuser." The words hang in the air, simple, devastating, true. Gage's expression twists. "You don't get to rewrite what we." "I'm not rewriting," Hollis says, tears burning down his face. "I'm surviving." Rafe's jaw tightens. He still hasn't looked away from Gage. "You chose the wrong Omega to haunt." Gage spits back, voice rising, venomous. "You think you can play hero? You don't know him. He ruins everything. He's manipulative, unstable." Rafe cuts him off, voice cold, final, "I know enough." Then Rafe does something Hollis doesn't expect. He doesn't throw a punch, doesn't drag Gage into an alley. He pulls out his phone, sleek black Apple logo glowing, and makes a single call. Bring the car closer, Rafe says, calm as someone ordering takeout, and call it in. Gage's expression sharpens, fear bleeding through the arrogance now. Call what in? Rafe finally turns his head, just slightly, enough to speak to Hollis without giving Gage his back. The tote, Rafe says, you have your prenatal folder, and the documents you kept, because part of you knew you'd need them. Hollis's throat closes, his hands tighten on the Louis Vuitton strap until his knuckles ache. Because Rafe is right. Hidden beneath the ultrasound papers, beneath the prenatal vitamins and Nico's hoodie, is the flash drive, the one Hollis stole 3 months ago, the one that proves Gage isn't just abusive, he's laundering money through shipments between New Jersey and Connecticut. The one that could send Gage to prison. Or get Hollis killed. Gage goes white, his voice drops to a hiss. You didn't. Hollis's heart pounds so hard he feels it in his teeth. I did. Gage lunges. Not at Rafe, at Hollis. But Rafe is faster. His arm shoots out, blocking Gage's path, body angled to shield Hollis completely. Touch him again, Rafe says, voice lethal, and you won't walk away. Gage freezes, breathing hard, eyes wild. For the first time in 2 years, Hollis sees it, the moment Gage realizes he's not in control anymore. That someone bigger, colder, more dangerous just stepped into the game. A black SUV glides up to the curb, silent, sleek, windows tinted. The door opens. 2 men step out, dressed in dark coats, moving with the kind of disciplined precision that comes from training. Rafe's people. Gage tries to back up. This is insane, you can't. I already did, Rafe says. Then softer, almost pitying, you should have walked away when I gave you the chance. Police lights bloom at the end of the block, red and blue slicing through neon. Gage's face goes from pale to grey. He whips toward Hollis, hatred boiling over. You'll regret this, you'll. Rafe lanes in, voice so low only Gage can hear. No, he won't, that's the point. The officers approach. Rafe steps aside, hands visible, calm and cooperative. Gage tries to charm them, tries to twist the story, make himself the victim. But the flash drive is already in motion. And Hollis's bruises speak louder than Gage's lies. When the cuffs go on, Gage turns his head one last time, his face warped with fury. He mouths 2 words, you're dead. But the threat has no teeth anymore. Because for the first time, Hollis isn't alone. The street exhales. Hollis doesn't realize he's shaking until Rafe's hand steadies his elbow, gentle, careful, like he's handling something fragile. The warmth of the touch cuts through the cold, and for a second, Hollis almost collapses right there on the sidewalk. But Nico is watching, and Hollis can't fall apart when his boy needs him to stay standing. Gage is in the back of the police car now, face pressed against the window, mouthing curses Hollis can't hear but can feel in his bones. The red and blue lights paint the street in strobing color, turning the scene into something surreal. Like a nightmare Hollis can't wake up from. Except this time, the nightmare is ending. Rafe doesn't let go of Hollis's arm. His grip is firm but not controlling, like he's offering support instead of taking over. You need to sit down. Hollis shakes his head. I'm fine. You're about to pass out. Hollis opens his mouth to argue, but another contraction hits, sharp, breathless, stealing the words right out of his lungs. His knees buckle. Rafe catches him before he hits the pavement. One arm sliding around Hollis's back, the other under his elbow. Easy, Rafe murmurs, breathe through it. Hollis gasps, clutching his belly, feeling the Barbies shift and kick in protest. The contraction lasts 20 seconds, maybe 30, feels like an eternity. When it finally passes, Hollis sags against Rafe, too exhausted to care about dignity. Nico's small voice cuts through the haze. Are the Barbies okay? Hollis forces himself upright, hand reaching for Nico's head. They're okay, baby, I'm okay. Another lie, but what else is he supposed to say? Rafe gestures toward the black SUV idling at the curb. Get in, I'll take you somewhere safe. Hollis hesitates, because somewhere safe is a promise people make before they break it, because accepting help from a stranger, even one who just saved him, feels like trading one cage for another. Rafe seems to sense the hesitation. His expression softens just a fraction. I'm not him, and I'm not keeping you. You can leave whenever you want, but right now you need a place to rest, and that boy needs food and a bed. Hollis looks at Nico, wide-eyed, exhausted, clinging to Hollis's coat like it's the only solid thing left in the world. He doesn't have a choice. Not really. Okay, Hollis whispers. Rafe nods. He guides Hollis toward the SUV, one hand still supporting his back. The door opens, and warm air rushes out, smelling faintly of leather and expensive cologne. Hollis climbs in, pulling Nico with him. The seats are soft, clean, the kind of car where nothing bad is supposed to happen. Rafe slides in across from them, closing the door with a quiet click. The SUV pulls away from the curb, smooth and silent, leaving the flashing lights and the crowd behind. Hollis leans back against the seat, eyes closing. His body is screaming, back aching, ribs sore, ankles swollen, but for the first time in weeks, he's not running. Nico curls up beside him, small head resting on Hollis's thigh. Rafe doesn't speak, just watches, expression unreadable. After a long silence, Hollis opens his eyes. Why did you help me? Rafe's gaze doesn't waver, because you asked. People ask for help all the time. Most of them get ignored. Then most people are cowards. Hollis studies him, this stranger who stepped into his disaster without hesitation, who stopped Gage with a name and a phone call, who's sitting across from him now like protecting a terrified Omega and a traumatized kid, is just another Tuesday. Who are you? Hollis asks. Rafe's mouth curves, but it's not quite a smile. Someone who knows what it's like when the system fails you. It's not an answer, but it's enough, for now. The SUV glides through the city, passing lit storefronts and late-night crowds, everything blurring into streaks of color. Hollis's eyelids grow heavy. He fights it because letting his guard down feels dangerous. But exhaustion wins. He's asleep before they reach the bridge. When Hollis wakes, the SUV has stopped. The engine is off. The world outside is quieter. No honking, no sirens, no crowds. Rafe is still sitting across from him, scrolling through his phone. He glances up when Hollis stirs. We're here. Where's here? Somewhere Gage can't find you. Hollis looks out the window. They're parked in front of a building, sleek, modern, glass and steel rising into the night. The kind of place where doormen wear suits and elevators have key cards. The kind of place Hollis doesn't belong. Rafe steps out first, then offers his hand. Hollis takes it, legs shaky as he climbs out. Nico follows, clutching Hollis's coat, eyes wide as he stares up at the building. It's tall, Nico whispers. First words he's spoken in hours. Rafe glances down at him. 23 floors, you want to count them. Nico nods, shy but curious. They walk inside. The lobby is warm, marble floors gleaming under soft lighting. A doorman nods at Rafe, respectful, deferential, and doesn't ask questions. The elevator ride is silent. Nico counts floors under his breath. Hollis leans against the wall, trying to keep his breathing steady, trying to ignore the way his body is begging him to lie down. They reach the penthouse. Rafe unlocks the door, and it swings open to reveal a space that looks like it belongs in a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Minimalist furniture, expensive but understated. A kitchen with marble countertops and stainless steel appliances. Hollis steps inside, overwhelmed. You live here, he asks. Sometimes, Rafe says, it's secure, no one gets in without clearance. Nico tugs Hollis's hand. Can I sit down? Yeah, babies, go ahead. Nico climbs onto the couch, sinking into the cushions, and within seconds, his eyes are drifting shut. Rafe disappears into another room, returning with a blanket. He drapes it over Nico carefully, like he's done this before. Hollis watches, throat tight. Thank you. Rafe straightens. There's a guest room down the hall, beds already made, bathrooms stocked, you should rest. Hollis wants to argue, wants to say he's fine, that he doesn't need help, that he can handle this alone. But his body betrays him. Another contraction hits, milder this time, but enough to make him wince. Rafe's expression sharpens. When's the last time you saw a doctor? I don't know, a week, maybe 2. You need to be monitored. Stress contractions can turn into real labor if you're not careful. I know, Hollis's voice cracks. I didn't have anywhere to go. Rafe steps closer and Hollis tenses, old reflexes kicking in. But Rafe stops just outside arm's reach, hands visible, non-threatening. "You have somewhere now," Rafe says quietly, "and tomorrow we'll get you to a doctor, a real one, someone who won't ask questions you don't want to answer." Hollis's eyes burn. He blinks hard, refusing to cry in front of this stranger who's already seen too much. "Why are you doing this?" he whispers. Rafe's jaw tightens. For a moment he doesn't answer, then softer, "Because no one did it for my mother." The words hang in the air, heavy, final. Hollis doesn't know what to say, doesn't know how to respond to that kind of honesty. So he just nods. Rafe gestures toward the hallway. "Go rest, I'll be here if you need anything." Hollis hesitates, then slowly he walks toward the guest room, every step an effort. The room is clean, simple, the bed looks like heaven. Hollis sits down carefully, then lies back, sinking into the mattress. His body screams in relief. He closes his eyes. And for the first time in weeks, he lets himself believe that maybe, just maybe, he's going to survive this. But sleep doesn't come easy. Because across the penthouse, Rafe is making another phone call. And Hollis doesn't know it yet, but the man who just saved him has been watching him for longer than tonight. Much longer. And that file in the safe house, the one with Hollis's name already on it. It was dated 3 months ago. The exact day Hollis stole the flash drive. The crash comes at 4 a.m. Not literal, not physical, but the kind that happens when adrenaline finally runs out and your body remembers it's been running on fumes for 2 weeks straight. Hollis wakes to pain sharp, radiating from his lower back down through his hips. The Barbies are kicking, restless and angry, like they're tired of being cramped inside a body that won't stop moving. He sits up slowly, biting back a groan. The guest room is dark except for a thin line of light under the door. Outside the window, the city glows, neon and glass stretching into infinity. Hollis's phone is on the nightstand. Dead, he didn't bring a charger. He stands, legs shaky, and walks to the door, opens it carefully. The penthouse is quiet. Rafe is sitting at the kitchen island, laptop open, screen casting blue light across his face. He's still dressed, shirt sleeves rolled up, tie gone, hair slightly disheveled. He glances up when Hollis enters. Can't sleep. Something like that. Hollis crosses his arms over his belly, suddenly self-conscious. "You." "I don't sleep much." There's something in the way Rafe says it, flat, matter-of-fact, that tells Hollis it's not insomnia. It's habit, the kind you develop when staying alert keeps you alive. Rafe closes the laptop. "You need anything, water, food?" "I'm fine." "You're not." Hollis bristles. "You don't know me." Rafe's gaze doesn't waver. "I know you're 33 weeks pregnant, running on no sleep, and your body's about to shut down whether you like it or not." Hollis wants to argue, wants to tell Rafe to mind his own business, but another contraction hits, mild, but enough to make him wince. Rafe stands. "Sit down before you fall down." Hollis doesn't have the energy to fight. He sinks onto the couch, breathing through the contraction until it passes. Rafe returns with a glass of water and a protein bar, sets them on the coffee table. "Eat." "I'm not hungry." "Your Barbies are." Hollis's jaw tightens, but Rafe's right. He's barely eaten in days. He picks up the protein bar, unwraps it slowly, takes a bite. It tastes like cardboard, but his stomach accepts it anyway. Rafe sits across from him, watching with that same unreadable expression. "We need to talk about tomorrow." "What about it?" "I'm taking you to a doctor, someone discreet, someone who won't report you to anyone unless you want them to." Hollis frowns. "That's not how doctors work." "It is when you pay them enough." The words should sound arrogant, instead they just sound practical. Hollis takes another bite. "What else?" "We file a restraining order, properly this time, with lawyers who know how to make it stick." "That takes money." "I have money." Hollis's hands tighten around the protein bar. "I can't pay you back." Rafe's expression doesn't change. "I'm not asking you to." "Then what do you want?" "For you to be safe." The answer is too simple, too plain. Hollis doesn't trust it. "People don't just help for free," he says. Rafe leans forward, elbows on his knees. "You're right, they don't, but I'm not most people." Then who are you? Rafe hesitates, just for a second. Then, someone who's tired of watching men like Gage walk away clean. It's still not a full answer, but it's closer to the truth than anything else Rafe said tonight. Hollis finishes the protein bar in silence. His body is exhausted, but his mind won't shut off. Too many questions, too many gaps. How did you know, he finally asks, about the flash drive, about what Gage was doing? Rafe's jaw tightens. I've been tracking his network for months. He's been moving money through shipping routes, New Jersey to Connecticut. Small amounts, easy to miss, but patterns don't lie. And me. You were collateral until you became evidence. Hollis's chest tightens. You knew about me before tonight. It's not a question. Rafe doesn't deny it. I knew Gage had a partner. I knew that partner was an Omega. I didn't know you were planning to run until you did. Hollis's stomach twists. So you've been watching me? No, I've been watching him. You just happen to be in the frame. The distinction feels important, but Hollis isn't sure he believes it. Why didn't you approach me before? Because you weren't ready. Rafe's voice is quiet, steady. People don't leave until they're ready, and if I'd approached you earlier, Gage would have known. He would have hurt you worse. Hollis wants to be angry, wants to accuse Rafe of playing God, of watching and waiting while Hollis suffered. But the truth is harder to swallow. Rafe's right. If someone had tried to pull Hollis out 3 months ago, he would have defended Gage, would have believed the apologies, the promises, the cycle. He wasn't ready then. He is now. Hollis drains the water glass, sets it down carefully. What happens next? We make sure Gage stays locked up, and we make sure you stay hidden until it's safe. And if it's never safe? Rafe's gaze hardens, then we make new rules. Before Hollis can respond, his phone buzzes on the nightstand. Impossible because it's dead. Except it's not his phone. It's Rafe's. Rafe picks it up, glances at the screen. His expression shifts, just slightly, but enough for Hollis to notice. What is it? Hollis asks. Rafe doesn't answer immediately. He stands, walking toward the window, phone pressed to his ear. His voice is low, clipped. When? How bad? No, keep him contained. I'll handle it. He ends the call, turns back to Hollis. And for the first time since they met, Rafe looks uncertain. Gage made bail. Hollis's world tilts. What? He posted bond an hour ago. He's out. Hollis's breath comes in short, panicked gasps. How? You said he'd be locked up. He should have been. Someone pulled strings. Who? Rafe's jaw tightens. Someone with more reach than I expected. Hollis stands, legs shaking. Then I need to leave. I need to take Nico and go where? Rafe's voice is firm, not harsh, just realistic. He knows you're in New York. He'll find you. Then what am I supposed to do? Rafe steps closer. You stay here with me, where I can protect you. Hollis shakes his head. You don't understand. Gage doesn't stop. He doesn't quit. He'll find a way. Let him try. The words are cold, final. Hollis stares at him. You don't know what he's capable of. Neither does he. Rafe's gaze is steel, and that's his mistake. Hollis wants to believe him, wants to trust that Rafe's power is enough to keep Gage at bay. But trust is a luxury he can't afford. I need to check on Nico, Hollis says, turning toward the couch. Nico is still asleep, blanket tucked around his small frame, breathing soft and even. Hollis crouches beside him, brushing hair from the boy's forehead. And that's when he sees it. On the coffee table, half hidden under a stack of magazines, a folder, manila, unlabeled. Except when Hollis tilts his head, he can see the edge of a label peeking out. His name. Printed, dated. 3 months ago. Hollis's hands go cold. He stands slowly, picking up the folder, opens it. Inside, photos, documents, timelines. Photos of Hollis leaving the New Jersey apartment, entering a clinic, walking with Nico. Documents tracking Gage's financial movements, bank transfers, shipping manifests. And a timeline, showing exactly when Hollis started planning his escape. When he stole the flash drive. When he ran. Hollis's throat closes. He looks up. Rafe is standing in the doorway, watching him. "You've been tracking me," Hollis whispers. "Not just Gage, me." Rafe doesn't deny it. "Yes." "For how long?" 3 months. Hollis's chest tightens. "Why?" Rafe steps into the room. "Because Gage isn't the top of the chain. He's a middleman, and I needed to know who else he was connected to." "And me, what am I?" "You were supposed to be a witness, someone who could testify when the time came." "And now?" Rafe's expression softens, just barely. "Now you're someone I'm choosing to protect." Hollis's hands shake. "You used me." "I monitored a situation. There's a difference." "Not to me." Rafe's jaw tightens. "I understand you're angry, but if I hadn't been watching, you'd be dead right now, or back with Gage, and those Barbies wouldn't stand a chance." Hollis wants to scream, wants to throw the folder at Rafe's face, wants to grab Nico and run. But he can't. Because Rafe is right. Without him, Hollis would still be trapped. The realization doesn't make it hurt less. "I need air," Hollis says. Rafe steps aside. "The balconies through the living room, don't go further than that." Hollis walks past him, folder still clutched in his hands, and steps onto the balcony. The city stretches below, endless lights, endless noise, endless motion. He leans against the railing, breathing hard, trying to process everything. He thought he was making choices. Turns out, someone else was watching the whole time. Behind him, the door slides open. Rafe steps out. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to feel like a pawn." "Too late." "I know," Rafe's voice is quiet, "but I need you to understand something. I've spent the last 3 months watching Gage hurt you, watching you plan, watching you gather evidence, and I couldn't step in until you were ready to leave." "Why not?" "Because people don't believe they're being abused until they name it themselves. If I'd told you what I saw, you would have defended him. You would have gone back, and next time he might have killed you." Hollis's eyes burn. "Because Rafe's right." "Again?" "I hate that you're right," Hollis whispers. "I know." They stand in silence. The city hums below. Then Rafe's phone buzzes again. He glances at it. His face goes cold. "What?" Hollis asks. Rafe turns the screen toward him. A photo taken tonight. Of Hollis asleep in the guest room. And a message underneath. "I'm closer than you think." The safe house was supposed to be untouchable. Marble floors, reinforced locks, security cameras on every corner, a building where everyone who enters gets screened, where elevators don't move without key cards, where even the doorman knows to ask questions. And yet, someone got in. Someone took a photo of Hollis while he slept. And sent it to Gage. Rafe's jaw is tight enough to crack teeth. He's on the phone before Hollis can process what he just saw, voice low and lethal. "I want every camera pulled, every entry log checked, find out who got inside." He ends the call, turns to Hollis. "Pack your things, we're leaving." Hollis's hands shake. "Where?" "Somewhere Gage doesn't know about." "He knew about this place." "Then we go somewhere no one knows about." Hollis wants to believe that place exists, but the photo on Rafe's phone says otherwise. Gage isn't just persistent. He's connected. And connections mean reach. Hollis stumbles back into the penthouse, legs unsteady. Nico is awake now, sitting up on the couch, rubbing his eyes. "Are we leaving again?" Nico asks. Hollis crouches down, forcing his voice to stay calm. "Yeah, baby, just for a little bit." "Is he coming?" Hollis doesn't lie. "I don't know." Nico's face crumples. "I don't want to go back." "You won't, I promise." It's the same promise Hollis has made a dozen times, and every time it feels more like a hope than a guarantee. Hollis gathers their things, what little they have: the tote bag, Nico's hoodie, the prenatal folder, the flash drive still hidden at the bottom. Rafe appears in the doorway. "Car's ready, we move now." They take the service elevator this time. No lobby, no doorman, just a back exit that leads to an underground garage. The SUV is waiting, engine already running. 2 men stand beside it, both dressed in black, both scanning the area like they're expecting an ambush. Rafe opens the door. Get in. Hollis climbs inside, pulling Nico with him. The boy is silent again, eyes wide, fingers digging into Hollis's sleeve. Rafe slides in beside them. The door locks with a heavy thunk. They pull out of the garage and into the early morning darkness. The city is quiet, too quiet, like it's holding its breath. Hollis watches the streets blur past. Where are we going? Staten Island. I have a property there, off the grid. No one knows about it except me. And the people who work for you. Rafe's gaze sharpens. The people who work for me are loyal, they don't talk. Someone talked tonight. Rafe doesn't respond, but his jaw tightens again, and Hollis knows he's thinking the same thing. There's a leak. And leaks mean betrayal. They cross the Verrazano Bridge as the sun starts to rise, pale light bleeding across the water, turning the skyline into silhouettes. Hollis rests his head against the window, exhaustion pulling at him. But sleep doesn't come. Because his mind won't stop replaying the photo. Someone was in the room with him. Someone stood over him while he slept. Someone could have hurt him. Could have hurt Nico. And Hollis wouldn't have known until it was too late. The safe house on Staten Island is nothing like the penthouse. It's small, tucked into a quiet neighborhood where houses have yards and kids ride bikes on the sidewalk. The kind of place where no one asks questions because everyone minds their own business. Rafe unlocks the door. Inside, it's clean but sparse, minimal furniture, no personal touches. A place designed for hiding, not living. Nico walks in first, looking around with wary eyes. Is this safe? Rafe crouches down to his level. Safer than the last place, and I'm going to make sure it stays that way. Nico nods, but he doesn't look convinced. Hollis sets the tote bag down on the kitchen counter. His body is screaming, back aching, ankles swollen, ribs sore from the Barbie's constant kicking. He needs to sit, needs to rest. But he can't. Because the moment he stops moving, the fear catches up. Rafe appears beside him. You should eat something. I'm not hungry. You haven't eaten since yesterday. Hollis's hands tighten on the counter. I can't think about food right now. Then think about your Barbies. The words hit harder than Hollis expects. He closes his eyes, breathing through the anger rising in his chest. Rafe's right. Again. Fine, Hollis mutters, I'll eat. Rafe pulls out a chair at the small kitchen table. Sit, I'll make something. Hollis wants to argue, wants to say he doesn't need anyone taking care of him. But another contraction hits, stronger this time, lasting longer. He sinks into the chair, biting back a groan. Rafe glances at him. How often are those happening? I don't know, every hour, maybe less. Rafe's expression hardens. That's too close, you need to see a doctor. I know. Today. I know. Rafe pulls out his phone, types something quickly. I'm calling someone, she'll come here. Hollis looks up, she. A midwife, discreet, competent. She won't ask questions you don't want to answer. Hollis wants to protest, wants to say he doesn't trust strangers anymore. But his body is breaking down, and the Barbies are running out of time. Okay, he whispers. Rafe nods, then he turns back to the stove, cracking eggs into a pan. The silence stretches. Nico sits on the couch, staring at the TV even though it's not turned on. Hollis watches Rafe cook, efficient, precise, like he's done this 1,000 times. You didn't answer my question earlier, Hollis says. Rafe glances over his shoulder. Which one? Who you are, really? Rafe flips the eggs. I told you, someone who's tired of men like Gage walking away clean. That's not an answer, that's a deflection. Rafe's mouth twitches, almost a smile. You're observant. I've had to be. Rafe plates the eggs, sets them in front of Hollis along with toast and orange juice. Then he sits across from him. My mother was an Omega, Rafe says quietly. She was with an Alpha who hurt her. For years, no one helped, no one stepped in. By the time someone noticed, it was too late. Hollis's throat tightens. She died. Yes. The word hangs in the air, heavy, final. I was 10, Rafe continues. old enough to understand what happened, old enough to remember what it felt like to be powerless. Hollis looks down at the eggs, appetite gone. I'm sorry. Don't be, it wasn't your fault. I know, but you understand what it's like to be trapped. Rafe's gaze is steady, and that's why I help people like you, because I couldn't help her. Hollis blinks hard, refusing to cry. That doesn't make you a hero. I'm not trying to be. Then what are you trying to be? Rafe leans back in his chair, someone who doesn't look away. The answer is simple, honest. And for the first time, Hollis believes him. He picks up the fork, takes a bite. The eggs are good, better than anything he's had in days. Nico wanders over, climbing into the chair beside Hollis. Rafe hands him a plate without a word. They eat in silence. And for a few fragile minutes, it almost feels like safety. Then Rafe's phone buzzes. He glances at it, his face goes cold. What? Hollis asks. Rafe stands, the midwife is here. Already. She was close. There's a knock at the door, Rafe opens it. A woman steps inside, mid-40s, dark skin, silver locks tied back. She's carrying a medical bag and wearing scrubs under a Nike jacket. She glances at Hollis, then at Nico, then back at Rafe. This the one? Yes. She sets the bag down on the table. I'm Dominique, let's see what we're working with. Hollis hesitates, but Rafe nods, and something about Dominique's calm confidence makes him relax, just a fraction. Okay, Hollis says. Dominique pulls out a blood pressure cuff, a stethoscope, a portable ultrasound machine. She works quickly, efficiently, checks his vitals, listens to the Barbie's heartbeats, measures his belly. You're dehydrated, she says. Blood pressure's elevated. Barbies sound good, but you're under too much stress. I know. You need bed rest, real rest, not I'll rest when I can rest. Hollis looks at Rafe. Is that safe? It's necessary, Dominique answers before Rafe can. Your body's at the edge. You push any harder, you're looking at preterm labor, and at 33 weeks, that's not ideal. Hollis's chest tightens. What do I do? You stay put, you eat, you sleep, you let your body recover. And if I can't? Dominique's gaze is firm, then you risk losing them. The words hit like a punch. Hollis's hands move to his belly, protective, instinctive. I'll rest, he whispers. Dominique nods. Good, I'll check in tomorrow. She packs up her equipment, exchanges a look with Rafe, and leaves as quickly as she came. Hollis sits in silence, processing everything. Rafe sits across from him again. You heard her, you need to rest. I will. Starting now. Hollis wants to argue, but his body won't let him. He stands, legs shaky, and walks toward the bedroom. Nico follows, silent as always. They lie down together, Hollis on his side, Nico curled against his chest. And for the first time in weeks, Hollis lets himself close his eyes without fear. But sleep is interrupted an hour later by the sound of breaking glass. The crash comes from the living room. Hollis jerks awake, heart hammering. Beside him, Nico sits up, eyes wide with terror. Stay here, Hollis whispers. No, stay here. Hollis climbs out of bed, legs shaking. He cracks the bedroom door open, peering into the hallway. Rafe is already moving, silent, controlled, gun drawn. He motions for Hollis to stay back. Hollis doesn't listen. He steps into the hallway, keeping Nico behind him. The living room is dark. The front window is shattered, glass scattered across the floor. A rock sits in the middle of the broken shards. Wrapped around it is a piece of paper. Rafe picks it up carefully, unfolds it. His jaw tightens. What does it say? Hollis asks. Rafe turns the paper toward him. 3 words scrawled in black marker. You can't hide. Hollis's breath catches. Gage found them. Again. Rafe is already on the phone, voice clipped. We've been compromised, I need a full sweep, now. He ends the call, turns to Hollis. Get your things, we're leaving. Where? Somewhere he can't follow. There is nowhere he can't follow. Hollis's voice cracks. Don't you see, he's always one step ahead. Someone's feeding him information. I know. The admission stops Hollis cold. You know. Rafe's expression is grim. I've suspected for days, tonight confirmed it. Then who? I'm working on it. Hollis wants to scream, wants to throw something, wants to collapse and give up. But Nico is watching, and giving up isn't an option. He gathers their things again, the tote bag, the flash drive, the prenatal folder. Everything that proves he was here, everything that proves he mattered. They leave through the back door this time. No SUV, just a sedan parked in the alley, engine already running. Rafe opens the door. Get in. Hollis climbs inside, pulling Nico with him. The boy is trembling, silent tears streaming down his face. It's okay, Hollis whispers. We're okay. Another lie. But what else is he supposed to say? They drive through the early morning darkness, the city waking up around them. Hollis watches the streetlights blur past, exhaustion pulling at him. But sleep feels dangerous. Because every time he closes his eyes, he sees Gage's face. Where are we going? Hollis finally asks. Rafe's eyes don't leave the road. My office. Your office. It's the most secure location I have. Full surveillance, armed security. No one gets in without clearance. Gage got into the penthouse and the safe house. He won't get into this. Hollis wants to believe him, but belief feels like a luxury he can't afford. The office building is downtown, glass and steel, 50 stories high. Rafe parks in the underground garage, and they take a private elevator straight to the top floor. The doors open to a space that looks more like a fortress than an office. Glass walls, minimal furniture, security monitors covering every angle. Rafe leads them to a conference room. You'll stay here, it's soundproof, secure, no one gets in without my authorization. Hollis sets the tote bag down on the table. How long? Until we figure out who's leaking information. And then we end this. Hollis wants to ask how, wants to know what ending this looks like. But he's too tired to care. He sinks into a chair, pulling Nico onto his lap. The boy is shaking, small hands clutching Hollis's shirt. I'm scared, Nico whispers. Me too, baby. It's the first time Hollis has admitted it out loud. Rafe steps out of the room, closing the door behind him. Through the glass, Hollis watches him make phone calls, his expression hard and unreadable. Nico falls asleep eventually, exhaustion winning over fear. Hollis holds him close, stroking his hair, trying to pretend everything is okay. But it's not. And Hollis knows it. An hour later, Rafe returns. He's carrying a folder, thick worn, the kind that's been handled too many times. He sets it on the table in front of Hollis. What is this? Hollis asks. Everything I have on Gage. Bank records, shipping manifests, communications, and the name of the person feeding him information. Hollis's hands shake as he opens the folder. Inside, photos, documents, transcripts. And at the bottom, a single name. Marcus Levin. Hollis's stomach drops. Who is he? One of my security contractors. He's been on my payroll for 3 years. Hollis looks up. He's the lake. Yes. Why? Rafe's jaw tightens. Gage paid him more than I did. The simplicity of it is devastating. Loyalty bought and sold. What are you going to do? Hollis asks. Handle it. The words are cold, final. Hollis doesn't ask what handle it means, doesn't want to know. He closes the folder, and the flash drive, the evidence I stole. We're using it, police already have copies, so does the district attorney. Gage's arrest is just the beginning. Then why is he still out? Because someone with power is protecting him, but power has limits, and we're about to find his. Hollis wants to believe that, wants to trust that justice will win. But he's seen too much to be naive. What if it's not enough? He whispers. Rafe leans forward, elbows on the table. Then we make it enough. Before Hollis can respond, his phone buzzes. Except it's not his phone. It's Rafe's. Rafe glances at the screen, his face goes pale. What? Hollis asks. Rafe turns the screen toward him. A video sent from an unknown number. Hollis presses play. The video is grainy, shot from a distance, but the image is clear enough. Hollis leaving the New Jersey apartment weeks ago, Nico beside him. And behind them, barely visible in the background. Rafe. Hollis's breath catches. You were there, he whispers. The day I left, you were already following me. Rafe doesn't deny it. Yes. Why didn't you say anything? Because you wouldn't have trusted me. I don't trust you now. Rafe's expression doesn't change. I know. Hollis stands, legs shaking. You've been lying to me this whole time. I've been protecting you. By stalking me, by watching me like I'm some kind of project. By making sure you didn't end up dead. The words echo through the room. Hollis stares at him, chest heaving. You didn't save me, Hollis says quietly. You waited, you watched, and you let me suffer until it was convenient for you to step in. Rafe's jaw tightens. That's not true. Isn't it? Silence. Then Rafe stands. I didn't intervene earlier because you weren't ready. If I had, you would have gone back to him, and next time he would have killed you. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Hollis wants to argue, wants to scream, wants to prove Rafe wrong. But deep down, he knows Rafe's right. If someone had tried to pull him out 3 months ago, Hollis would have defended Gage, would have believed the apologies, would have stayed. He wasn't ready then. But that doesn't make it hurt less. I need air, Hollis says. Rafe steps aside, the balcony's through that door. Hollis walks past him, hands shaking, heart pounding. He steps onto the balcony. The city stretches below, endless, indifferent, alive. Behind him, the door slides open. Rafe steps out. I'm sorry. Hollis doesn't turn around. For what? For not telling you sooner, for making you feel like a pawn. I was a pawn. No, you were someone I was trying to keep alive long enough to save yourself. Hollis finally turns, and now you're someone I'm choosing to protect, not because you're useful, because you deserve it. The words are simple, honest. And for the first time, Hollis believes them. Gage sent that video for a reason, Hollis says. I know. He's trying to turn me against you. Is it working? Hollis looks at him, this stranger who stepped into his disaster, who's been watching from the shadows, who's kept him alive even when Hollis didn't know it. I don't know, Hollis admits. Rafe nods, fair enough. They stand in silence, the city humming below. Then Rafe's phone buzzes again. He glances at it, his expression shifts. What? Hollis asks. Rafe turns the screen toward him. A message from an unknown number. The BABIS aren't HIS. Hollis's world tilts. His hands move to his belly, instinctive, protective. What does that mean? He whispers. Rafe's gaze is steady. It means Gage just found out the truth. What truth? That the Barbies you're carrying aren't his. Hollis's breath catches. How? DNA doesn't lie. Hollis's mind races, the timeline, the dates, the night Gage forced himself on him. And the other night, the one Hollis doesn't talk about, the one he's tried to forget. They're not Gage's, Hollis whispers. No. Then whose? Rafe's expression softens. That's a conversation for another time. But Hollis already knows. Because the pieces are falling into place. The way Rafe's been watching him for months, the way he stepped in at exactly the right moment, the way he's protected Hollis and Nico like they're his responsibility. They're yours, Hollis says. Rafe doesn't answer. But the silence is confirmation enough. Hollis's world narrows to a single truth he can't unsay. The Barbies aren't Gage's. They're Rafe's. His hands shake as he presses them against his belly, feeling the twins kick, restless, alive, unaware of the storm circling their existence. When? Hollis's voice cracks. When did you know? Rafe leans against the balcony railing, jaw tight. 3 weeks ago, I ran the DNA after Gage's arrest. Wanted to make sure there were no complications with custody if this went to court. And you didn't tell me. I didn't know how. Hollis laughs once, bitter and broken. You've been watching me for months. You've had plenty of opportunities. I didn't want you to feel trapped again. Too late. Rafe's gaze sharpens. You're not trapped. You never were, not with me. Hollis wants to believe that, wants to trust that Rafe is different. But trust feels like a weapon people use to hurt him. Why didn't I remember? Hollis whispers. If they're yours, then we. You were drugged. The words hit like a physical blow. Hollis stumbles back, gripping the railing for support. What? Rafe's voice is low, controlled. 4 months ago, Gage took you to a party, high-end, private, a lot of people with money and no morals. Hollis's stomach twists. He remembers that night vaguely, flashes of light, music, Gage's hand on his wrist pulling him through a crowd. And then nothing. He woke up the next morning in their apartment, body sore, mind foggy. Gage told him he'd had too much to drink, that he'd embarrassed himself, that he needed to be more careful. Hollis believed him. What happened? Hollis's voice is barely audible. Rafe's jaw tightens. Gage drugged you, Rohypnol most likely, then he brought you to a private room. He was going to, Rafe stops, breathing hard. He was going to let other men have you, for money. Hollis's knees buckle. He sinks to the ground, back against the railing, hands pressed to his mouth. I was there, Rafe continues. Undercover, tracking Gage's network. I saw what he was doing, and I stopped it. How? I paid more than they did, took you out of that room before anyone touched you. Hollis's mind is spinning. He can't process this, can't breathe. You bought me. I got you out, that's all that mattered. And then what? Rafe crouches down, meeting Hollis's eyes. And then you woke up, confused, scared. You didn't know who I was, you thought I was one of them. Hollis's chest tightens. Did you? No, Rafe's voice is firm. I didn't touch you, I swear. I got you out, brought you to a safe place, and waited for the drugs to wear off. Then how? You initiated it. Hollis stares at him. What? You were still under the influence, disoriented but conscious. And you, Rafe stops, swallowing hard. You thought I was someone safe, someone who wouldn't hurt you, and you asked me to stay. Hollis's breath comes in short, panicked gasps. I don't remember. I know. Then how did you know I wanted? Because you said it multiple times, and Rafe's voice cracks. I should have said no, I should have walked away, but you were so scared of going back to him, and I thought, he stops, shakes his head. I thought one night of feeling safe was better than nothing. Hollis's hands moved to his belly again, and then I got pregnant. Yes. And you didn't tell me. I didn't know how. You went back to Gage the next morning, and I couldn't pull you out without proof, without you choosing to leave. Hollis closes his eyes, tears streaming down his face. So you watched, you waited, and you let me think these Barbies were his. I didn't let you think anything. I stayed close, made sure you were safe, and when you finally ran, I was there. You manipulated me. I protected you. Hollis's voice rises. You used me. I saved you. The words echo across the balcony. Hollis stares at him, chest heaving. You had no right. I had every right, because if I hadn't stepped in that night, you'd be dead, or worse. And now what? You expect me to be grateful? No, Rafe's voice is quiet. I expect you to be angry, but I also expect you to survive, and those Barbies deserve a chance to live. Hollis looks away, hands shaking. He doesn't know what to feel, doesn't know what to believe. All he knows is that everything he thought he understood is a lie. Inside, Nico is still asleep on the couch. Hollis stands, legs unsteady, and walks back into the conference room. Rafe follows, keeping his distance. What happens now? Hollis asks. We finish this, Gage gets sentenced, you get the protection you need, and you decide what comes next. And the Barbies. Rafe's expression softens. They're yours, no one can take them from you, not Gage, not me, not anyone. And if I don't want you in their lives? Rafe's jaw tightens, then I'll respect that. Hollis wants to believe him, wants to trust that Rafe will let him walk away if that's what he chooses. But trust is a luxury he can't afford. I need time, Hollis says. I know. And space. I'll give you both. Hollis nods, then he sinks into a chair, exhaustion crashing over him. Rafe steps out of the room, closing the door behind him. And for the first time in weeks, Hollis is alone with his thoughts. He doesn't know what to do, doesn't know what to feel. All he knows is that the Barbies inside him are his. And no one, not Gage, not Rafe, not anyone, gets to decide their future but him. Hours pass, the sun rises, the city wakes up. Rafe returns with food, eggs, toast, orange juice. He sets it on the table without a word. Hollis eats in silence. Nico wakes up, climbs into the chair beside him and eats too. No one speaks. And for a fragile moment, it feels like peace. Then Rafe's phone buzzes. He glances at it, his face goes cold. What? Hollis asks. Rafe turns the screen toward him. A news headline. Prominent businessman Gage Rourke released on bail. ACCUSES former partner of fabricating evidence. Hollis's stomach drops. He's spinning it, Rafe says, making himself the victim. Will it work? Not if we move fast. What do we do? Rafe's gaze is steel. We go to court, we present the evidence, and we make sure he never walks free again. Hollis wants to believe that, wants to trust that justice will win. But he's seen too much to be naive. And if it doesn't work? Rafe leans forward, voice low and lethal. Then I handle it my way. Hollis doesn't ask what that means. Doesn't want to know. The courtroom smells like old wood and broken promises. Hollis sits in the front row, hands folded over his belly, feeling the twins kick with restless energy. Nico is beside him, small and silent, eyes fixed on the floor. Across the aisle, Gage sits with his lawyer, expensive suit, confident posture, the same smile that used to make Hollis feel special and now makes his skin crawl. Gage glances over, their eyes meet. He doesn't look away. Hollis does. Because he's done giving Gage power over him. The judge enters, everyone stands, the trial begins. It's not dramatic, not like the movies, just hours of testimony, evidence presented in cold, clinical language. Bank records, shipping manifests, the flash drive Hollis stole, now entered into evidence. Gage's lawyer tries to discredit it, calls it fabricated, calls Hollis unstable. But the numbers don't lie. And neither do the bruises in the photos Hollis submitted. When it's Hollis's turn to testify, he stands on trembling legs and walks to the witness stand. The prosecutor asks him to state his name. Hollis Vale. And your relationship to the defendant. Hollis's voice is steady, he was my abuser. Gage's lawyer objects, the judge overrules. The questions continue, Hollis answers each one, hands shaking but voice clear. He tells the truth. All of it. The abuse, the control, the fear. And when he's done, he steps down and walks back to his seat. Gage is watching him, but this time, Hollis doesn't look away. He meets Gage's gaze. And he doesn't flinch. The jury deliberates for 6 hours. When they return, the verdict is unanimous. Guilty. Gage's face goes pale, his lawyer stands, already preparing an appeal. But the judge's sentence is final. 15 years, no parole for the first 7. Gage is led out in handcuffs. He turns one last time, eyes locking on Hollis. But the threat is gone. Because Gage has no power here. It's not anymore. Outside the courthouse, the sun is shining. The city is alive with noise and motion. Hollis stands on the steps, breathing in the cold air, feeling the twins kick. Rafe appears beside him. You did it. We did it. Rafe nods. What now? Hollis looks at him, this stranger who stepped into his disaster, who watched from the shadows, who saved him even when Hollis didn't know he needed saving. I don't know, Hollis admits, but I'm going to figure it out. You don't have to do it alone. Hollis hesitates, then slowly he nods. I know. 3 weeks later, Hollis gives birth. The labor is long, painful, exhausting. But when the first baby cries, loud and strong and alive, Hollis forgets every second of pain. The second baby follows minutes later. Two boys, identical, perfect. The nurse places them on Hollis's chest, and he holds them close, tears streaming down his face. Nico climbs onto the bed beside him, staring at his new brothers with wide eyes. "They're so small," Nico whispers. "They'll grow." Rafe is in the corner, watching. He doesn't approach, doesn't intrude. Just stands there, quiet and steady. Hollis looks up. "You want to hold one?" Rafe hesitates, then he steps forward. Hollis hands him one of the twins. Rafe cradles the baby carefully, like he's holding something infinitely precious. "What are you going to name them?" Rafe asks. Hollis looks down at the second baby in his arms, then at Nico, then at Rafe. "Haven't decided yet." "You will?" Hollis smiles. "Yeah, I will." Months pass. Hollis finds an apartment, small but safe, a place where Nico can play without fear, where the twins can grow without shadows. Rafe visits, not every day, but enough. He doesn't push, doesn't demand, just offers support when Hollis needs it. And slowly, so slowly, Hollis starts to trust again. Not because Rafe is perfect, but because he's present. And presence, Hollis realizes, is the rarest kind of love. 1 year later, Hollis stands in the same park where he once ran for his life. But this time, he's not running. He's walking, Nico beside him, the twins in a stroller. Rafe is there too, carrying a bag of groceries, looking awkward and out of place, and somehow exactly where he belongs. "You good?" Rafe asks. Hollis looks at his boys, at the life he built from the ashes of the one that tried to destroy him. "Yeah," he says, "I'm good." And for the first time in his life, he means it. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is choosing your child's future while your hands are shaking. And Hollis chose. He chose survival, chose safety, chose himself. And that choice saved them all. The end. What would you choose, safety or freedom? Drop your answer below. If this story inspired you, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another story that could change your perspective. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story matters, and it could be the encouragement someone else needs today. Let's build a community of survivors, fighters, and believers. See you in the next one.